Hey guys, this will be a very hard tutorial for me because we're going to talk about the light component, and I'm not doing any explosions today because Aldo said I'm doing too much explosions, so I really try to talk about the light component without any explosions. Okay, so let's start. The light component is actually there to make things easier for you because you can very easily toggle lights on and off with a nice fading effect and also change the color. So it's not a very big component, but it definitely makes life easier for you. So this will be a very quick tutorial and therefore we may be not needing any explosions. So let's start. First of all, we have some examples in here. So basically most of our lights use the light component, if not all of them. But let's remove those example lights because there's much more going on there and we don't need that. So let's create a very simple one here. And first of all, we are of course adding the static mesh to it. In this case, I'm going for the wall light. And I'm also going to add a spotlight to it. This will work with every kind of light, but for the sake of performance, we go with a spotlight in this case. We also don't need to set any special tags here in order for this to work. And for this tutorial, we are going to use this button here to actually trigger the light on and off. So the first thing we need is our listen to trigger, and we have a dedicated tutorial about this one, so I'm not talking a lot about this one here. Just using the listen to trigger signal in this case and set it to light. And that's all we need to do here. The next thing is of course our light component, the one we are talking about today. Next, it's super important that you hit the like and subscribe button. Otherwise, none of this will ever work. So, of course, next thing we need to do is actually add the light to our actors to trigger for the button, so the button knows what to trigger. And we also need to go to our light component and increase the value. So this is the target value the light should have if it's set to on. So let's go with the default 5000. And this is everything we need to do. So if we hit the button now, you can see the light gets turned on and off and on and off. And one thing you may have recognized is the light was on from the beginning, but the button is off. So we need to fix this. So we select our light in the level, go to our component light and set the spool here to off and hit apply settings. And now the light is turned off and the component also knows that it's off. So it would not work if you set the light intensity to off to 0 yourself. So just use our functionality for this and everything will work perfectly fine. So the transition duration is very nice effect, so you don't instantly turn it on and off, but you have this very nice fade in and fade out effect. So if we set this to 1 second, it's more recognizable. And you get a really nice transition effect. We already talked about that you don't need any tags. So our component just looks for every light actor in your actual actor. So also if we have two lights, one is on again, so we need to fix this, select our component light again and apply settings. Now both of them are off, like the button, and if I press the button, you can see both of them will nicely fade in and out. And you can do this with as many light actors as you want, but remember, light is very expensive, especially if it's set to stationary or worse, movable, like in our case here. So just keep this in mind. Okay, so I think we can talk about the listen to trigger constant. So turn the signal off for demonstration purposes. And let's go to the slider here. So just dropping the slide in here and we don't need anything else. We just need to connect the slider to our light here. So the slider triggers the light now. And now if I grab the slider and pull it up, you can see the value of the light will be set accordingly. Okay, let's turn both of them on again. The next thing we will talk about are the light colors. So of course you also have the possibility to change light colors, and we have prepared 7 colors here by default for you. I'm going to delete some of them. So I'm just wanting to have this 5 colors here. And I can also set the current light color to what I actually want to have. So let's select the light in our level here. And for the current color, make sure to also only select a color that is in our list of possible light colors. So in this example, I've chosen the green one and it's in our list. And now if I turn it on and hit apply, you can see both lights will get this color. And this will work for all the colors we have in our possible light colors. And those are also the colors if we add a color selection menu, what we will do in a second, we will have those 5 colors to choose from. So let's go ahead and do this. So I'm going to add a select component, and we also have a tutorial about this one. So we add a selection menu and our light. This is for turning it on and off, and also our light color. So now if I go ahead and hit play, you can see if I select the light, I can turn it on and off. And here we have our 5 defined colors, and I can switch the colors this way. And of course, I'm able to turn it on and off here. So all of those interfaces work perfectly with our component light here. So if you want to change the, for example, green color, you want another touch of green, you can just open it up and select another color here. Of course, you can also select like a blue color here, but this will be confusing. So I would advise you to stick to the names and pick a green color for actual green. So now if I turn the light back on, you can see my green now has a different color, and it's exactly the color I have picked in my material. And this will also be the material being used for our selection menu. You can also create your very own materials. The important thing is that you have this color parameter, and it's called and spelled exactly like this. So in this case, it will also work with your own materials if you want to create them. So last but not least, let's talk about our custom mode. We can turn the handle by actor on, and now we have this free events. We can actually create anything you want with this. So just going to simply demonstrate. Here we have the light percent changed, and this also always happens if, well, the percent of the light will be changed. So in the case of buttons, it's just 0 and 1, but in the slider case, we can see we have this very nice transition from 0 to 1. And we can, of course, create anything. You saw that right now the light didn't change, so because I was just printing the string. But we can multiply this by, let's say, 1000 and set the light intensity. In this case, I'm only using the spotlight 1. So now I have completely control over what light I actually want to change and how much. So you can get very specific and very advanced with this. And now if I drag the slider, you can see that the spotlight 1 will be controlled by the slider and the other one is just on. The next one we have here is our light state changed. This is of course very simple. It's just a bool where you can do your, if it's true or if it's false, what do you want to happen. And the last one is for the colors. So you can do a switch here. And now you can define what should happen if the user chooses any of those colors. So, as I said, this was a fast tutorial without any explosions. Well, with a little bit of explosions, but not the Unreal default explosion. So, thank you very much for watching. Have a great weekend. Bye.